Hi guys, welcome back to this week's episode of the KBB Collective, and this week we are joined by Alex Cope of SWD Bespoke. Alex, welcome.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm looking forward to
So,
the chat.
so I reached out to Alex probably a couple of months back after coming across his profile on Instagram, going through the motions, checking out the family business page, and you make some beautiful stuff at SWD Bespoke. So what is it that you do? How would you characterize what the business does?
Yeah, so we're, I would say, primarily a luxury door supplier. That's really kind of our niche in the market, and I feel like we are kind of the luxury door brand in the world, I would say. We've obviously been in the UK market for 20 years, and this January we launched in America. So we opened up a showroom in Palm Beach. No one's really kind of really our goal is kind of elevate doors, whether that
And those are
be
being internal doors and external doors.
internal and external front doors. But primarily I would say interior doors. But we're constantly looking to kind of elevate that product in the home. It's something that's often overlooked, we feel. So kind of our job is to really show people the importance of doors, and that's through design and quality. But also, obviously naturally, we've also kind of got into doing joinery and millwork, as they call it in the US, and also hardware and furniture, because often clients kind of want to deal with just one company, so we very much kind of cater to those clients, and we're kind of able to also do like a full turnkey package if they want, that's things we're doing quite a lot at the moment.
Amazing. So, just to give listeners an idea of where SWD sits in the market, what would you say the average door runs for at retail, just to give an idea?
Is this pounds or dollars?
Yeah, let's go pounds. Let's go pounds. Majority of the listeners are going to be English, so
Okay.
let's go pounds.
I would say average for like a full door set, so that's including
Yeah.
kind of the frame, the architrave, and the hardware. I would say on average, I would say about £3,000 for an interior
So
door.
definitely, so definitely the higher end of the market, and that's how you would characterize yourself as well, right?
But that, I mean, we can obviously go more affordable than that. If it's like a multi-family and we're doing 1,000 doors, there's obviously economies of scale. But I would say on average it's about 3,000, and that can go up to £10,000 per interior door if you're going into like the high gloss lacquers and things like that. But I mean,
Yeah, I think
there's so much customization within a door. There's so many things you can change that it's often hard to kind of give ballpark figures, because pretty much every project we do is different.
Yeah, listen, if I ask any of the clients that I work with, how much is one of your kitchens? Is this the same answer, right? How long's a piece of string? I like that. We actually you and I spoke about the high gloss polyester, the production of that, and that you seem to have nailed that in your production, because it's so hard to get right, and the throw out rate is so huge, which a lot of the listeners will understand if they manufacture furniture. So that is definitely something that you've hit the nail on the head with. So listen, part of the reason that I reached out was to do with your personal brand. And so you are just over 170,000 followers now on Instagram, compared to the family business Instagram page, which is hovering around 30,000. So your personal brand is definitely driving brand awareness. Let's talk about, why did you decide to invest in building a personal brand? Where did that start? How did it all come about?
So, the personal brand and company brand, I mean, was something we really started taking seriously kind of when I joined the business. Which was about 5-6 years ago, I kind of understood how important social media is and things like that. A large proportion of our business comes through social media. We obviously run ads, which is kind of off the back of our social media. So that's like a Facebook ad, an Instagram ad, where they're kind of filling in forms. So a large part of our leads come through that. But then a lot of it is organic. So that's people searching for doors, or on Pinterest, for example. Like, we've got a huge following on Pinterest as well. I think that's a platform that's often overlooked. People just look at the Instagram. But actually our first 2 jobs in America came from Pinterest, which kind of led us into this market. Huge projects, one in the Hamptons, one in Newport Beach, where the homeowners found us on Pinterest after obviously doing research for doors. So that's, definitely something that's overlooked. We post constantly on Pinterest. But social media is just huge. It's kind of, I've lost my train of thought there.
Well, but I suppose specifically, rather than investing your time and your, let's just say, your expertise as the younger new blood in the business into the business's Instagram page, you have taken a slightly different strategy than most people have taken, which is you're investing in your personal brand as well, alongside that. So why was that the decision, and how did you think about doing that in parallel to building the company's Instagram?
Yeah, well, obviously, as a family business, I felt it was really important for us to introduce personal brand. So that initially that was on the company page, where it wasn't just posting pictures of doors, it was introducing the family within that content. Like, you can have a personal brand almost within your company page. It doesn't necessarily just have to be your personal Instagram, but I would say as a company, if you're putting people within your company on the page, that's kind of like a personal brand. And I think the most important thing there is just the trust it builds. If you're just a faceless company, I mean, people buy into people more so than a company. And I mean, there's so many examples of that. Like, the obvious one is like Elon Musk and Tesla. I think that explains it. Like, people buy into Elon Musk as opposed to Tesla. Like, I don't even know if Tesla has a company Instagram. I don't think I've ever seen that. But
not one that a lot of people follow, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they all follow Elon Musk. So that's just like an example. So yeah, that's something we really started pushing. And yeah, my personal brand, I started taking seriously a couple years ago. And yeah, it's just led to a lot of business, a lot of opportunities. Like, I'm getting DMs on my personal Instagram as well for business, not just through our company page. And yeah, it's really helped, obviously, moving to America and launching the company here. It's obviously led to a lot of opportunities. It's helped me meet a lot of people.
I want to talk about how it leads it in. I want to talk about how it leads into sort of the opportunities to meet people, and how it gives you awareness and it gives you sort of a platform. But one of the things that really struck me was the way that your personal Instagram is very correlated to the professional in terms of the look and feel. And so, like, when I was running my family business, if I had my personal brand in inverted commas and I was doing that, people would have took one look at what we were doing on the business page and then one look at my Instagram and be like, these two just do not make sense together. Like, one was like professionally shot, edited, looked beautiful. My personal Instagram was just, mismatched photos of like kids and family and all this other stuff. You've kept it very intentional. It looks design led. It feels premium. So talk to me about, like, A, how you're doing it, and B, the thought that goes into it.
Well, yeah, I think it obviously just depends kind of what business you're in. Like, we're in a luxury industry. We're catering to the luxury market. So I feel like my personal brand should reflect that. So yeah, it is intentional for it to feel kind of design led, and yeah, like, kind of there's thought behind the content.
Curated.
So
It feels curated.
Curated, because I want, if anyone comes onto my personal brand, if they're a kind of designer, architect, I want them to kind of see that and kind of make contact. Because if it is just kind of a mismatch of random things, really not kind of too related to your business, then it's like there's no real push for them to kind of like get in touch, I guess.
Yeah, no, 100%. I get, but like even the places that you're visiting and where you're going for dinner and where you're having coffee, it all feels like it's part of a universe. Does that make sense? Like it's very cohesive, and this is like we're talking 5-6 years ago. There was a lot of advice from Gary Vaynerchuk who was talking about how to build a business. The business's brand is at the center, and then you have all like the characters, almost as if it was like the plot of The Office, and all of the characters had their own pages that all felt like it was part of this universe. And yours, as being the starting point, absolutely feels like that is that they're so connected.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's definitely kind of intentional, and yeah, I was kind of doing this kind of before we launched in Palm Beach, kind of like building that universe, and now obviously moving to Palm Beach, it's kind of I understand the style of content, but now I'm just in a different place, so it's kind of now
No, for sure.
you've kind of got that kind of brand
Consistency.
DNA.
There's still the consistency, because regardless where you are in the world, it still feels like whether you're in Surrey or you're at the races in Ascot, or whether you're having a coffee at a cool hotel in Palm Beach, like it all feels the same. There's like a DNA. Talk to me about the investment, time, money. You did invest in this at the beginning, long before it was paying off project wise, and we'll get to that. You had just deep conviction that long term this is something that was going to pay off for the business. Is it more your time, or are you at this point paying someone to help with that? How does it work?
So I would say it's more so time now. Like the investment spent was, the only real investment spent was on a videographer. Like I've launched a YouTube channel where currently there's only one video, and that was kind of during the process of launch here. But yeah, that was an investment into a videographer, which with editing was about $2,000 kind of dollars. So that there's obviously a big expense if you're wanting to do kind of long form content. And I don't think I could justify kind of doing that every month. But really, the consistency and success from a personal brand comes from just really being able to do it yourself, and just finding the time to do that, and just kind of practicing yourself, like trying to be good at posting content, etc. Because you can't just, if I could, I would just rely on a videographer and be filming constantly. But obviously, it just depends on kind of where your marketing budget is at. But it is.
So the personal brand on your Instagram, you're doing that just yourself. You're taking shots. You're adding it to your profile yourself. You're editing stuff in CapCut or whatever in your own time. Okay. So, but you've got an eye then, because it all looks really clean.
Account, we have someone who manages the company Instagram, who will post kind of 3 to 4 times a week. So we have a team for the company Instagram, but with personal brand, it is obviously personal. So it's kind of like, we haven't, that's really things that I do.
Okay, cool. Talk to me about, we just mentioned YouTube. Do you see that as being a part of the strategy long term? Obviously that one video took an investment to get out. Is it something that you want to do more of? Are you going to invest in that over the long run?
I think so. Maybe next year we'll look into it. Like really the focus now is on kind of short form content. And then obviously kind of at the end of the financial year, when we can put together like an updated budget for next year, it might be something that we'll look into. But I wouldn't say long form is a priority right now. Long form is good for trust, but in order, I would say social media and short form content is a quicker route to kind of getting sales
for sure.
and leads.
Definitely on a brand awareness point of view, for sure. And YouTube is a long-term strategy. I mean, listen, I filmed basically one YouTube video every single week for multiple years for the family business, and we were basically doing kitchen tours. So I don't know if you ever saw Enes Yilmazar, who does those mad mega tours of houses in the US. You must have seen him. I'm sure some of your products have been on there. You know, he is. And so I remember watching those of all these mega mansions, 40, 50, $60 million mansions. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. But they only cover the kitchen part for 5 minutes out of a 40-minute video. And I was like, what if we just did a video every week on the kitchens that we're doing? And so we produced a video every week. And when I stopped doing it 2 years ago, the channel had 10,000 subscribers and was getting maybe 500 to 1,000 views a video. Not a single video has been uploaded in 2 years. The subscriber base has grown to 15,000 followers, so 50% up, without a single video being posted. And the average view per video now is like 2,000 from 500. So this stuff properly compounds and snowballs. And so it's hard, short form, you can put out one video, you could get 1 million views. All of a sudden you've got the dopamine rush. You're like, yeah, I'm on the right path, right? With a YouTube video, that is never going to happen, and you are going to have to wait it out. And I have to tell myself all the time now for my business, the education business, I put out a video every week. This will be one of them, right? And it's very hard when you're getting 80, 100, 300 views. It's like, what am I going through all this effort for? But I know in the back of my mind, long term, this stuff compounds. And if you're in this game for the long run, right, the family business, whatever you do, my stuff, long run, it is the place to be. So, just something to think about.
Important point is, that compounding effect and kind of setting those targets of, like you said, one video a week. I think that's like a very good place to start. And you're not going to get thousands and thousands of views on maybe your first video, but it is just, you just got to start and kind of,
well, listen, I think that this is my tip for you. Top tip, because spending $2,000 on a video is a lot of money. I know everything in the US is bigger, but I reckon you could, if you just hired a videographer who was good, doesn't need to be insane, just a good videographer. You've got the mics, you've got enough to make it look clean and crisp, and then you go online and find an editor. I've got an amazing editor, for example, for my short form stuff, incredible, and he could edit YouTube videos for like $250, $300, and then it just makes it that much more accessible to put out videos once a week, rather than, if you want it clean and looking like you want it to look, rather than once in a blue moon, to start that compounding process, even if it was once a month at this point.
So how many videos did you have on that YouTube channel?
Let's have a look. How many did I have? I reckon we did quite a few. So I'm looking now, 15,000 subscribers, 441 videos. What's that? One a week for like a long time. Maybe we did more than one a week. I mean, you've got, I'm looking here, some top ones. Japan Kitchen Tour, 30,000 views. Miele, Mastering Your Miele Oven, 16,000 views. And these are, by the way, that channel was monetized. Yeah, they were our projects, yeah. And that channel was monetized. So, the new owners of the business are getting that money every month for doing absolutely nothing now, because YouTube pays you once you hit 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, you can monetize your channel.
What's the YouTube channel?
It's at The Woodworks. You can have a look. But I think that's kind of my point. If you look, the last video was literally uploaded 2 years ago, maybe even longer.
Were you able to kind of attribute leads that came through that?
Yeah. So YouTube's good because you can do, once you're monetized especially, you can add link in bio and link in the description. So at the bottom of every video, if someone wants to read, a bit more about what is the style of kitchen, which we did the description with each video that was SEO optimized, by the way, which you can learn how to do. You could put a link, and that link would be to a specific landing page that was just for YouTube. So when those leads came in, we would know that they came from YouTube. And so there's clever ways of doing all this attribution stuff, similar to you. If you wanted to have a form on your personal page that was slightly different from the form that you have on the main company page, which is different from a form that you see when you run an ad. When you get them into your email, it would say, you know, new lead from Instagram, new lead from YouTube, new lead from Alex's personal brand, whatever it is. And you can attribute it that way. I mean, you know, I sat down with like an OG of the kitchen industry a couple of years ago, and he was telling me how they used to run magazine ads all the time, but they cracked the attribution for magazine ads, which is like they only had phone numbers back then. So they don't have websites, and it was like, call this number to find out, you know, more about our kitchens. And he would run a different phone number for every magazine that he had an ad in. And so he would, like, you know, have a little post-it note on the back of each phone, like this one was from Homes and Gardens, this one was from Kitchens, Bedrooms, Bathrooms, this one was whatever, Vogue Home. And people would be calling those numbers, and he'd be manually writing down, okay, you know, this ad, it cost me $3,000, but I had 30 phone calls from it. Go, you know, £100 a phone call kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So attributing is,
I think attribution is the whole thing, really. I think it's what a lot of people struggle, especially within this industry, is because it's not just e-commerce. I mean, the leads can come from anywhere, but if you don't have a good CRM and you don't have someone analyzing that, then how can you really grow and scale your business without knowing where the business is coming from?
Yeah, 100%.
Because then how do you know where to put your money in marketing spend? Like,
I say that all the time. Yeah, 100% right.
It's the whole thing, and it's something for a while we struggled with, but it's something in the last few years we've really focused on is understanding the data. Because if you don't, then every month you're saying, how do we get more sales? But then
finger in the air, you're guessing if you don't track the data. Yeah, I think that there is an intangible element. Like you alluded to earlier, when you have, you know, the following that you have, and now in the US, people are coming into that showroom and they're seeing you, and they're already building this parasocial relationship that we talk about in our group. The parasocial relationship, which is people building a relationship with you, even though they don't know you, but they feel like they know you because they follow you through a screen for X number of hours every single month. And so when they come in, they're more primed to buy, the trust is higher, and that has a massive impact on conversion rates. Now, that takes a long time to play out, but no one can tell me that it doesn't, because I've seen it happen firsthand. Mm-hmm. Do you have that? Do you feel like you get the same thing? People walk in, they recognize you, they're like, oh, that's you, the guy from the videos, you know, you're Alex, and straight away the rapport is instant, and it makes it easier to have those conversations?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's like people, if you're posting consistently on Instagram and social media, people feel like they know you before they meet you, and technically they're almost pre-sold before they've even met you. So it just makes conversion a lot easier, because the trust is there, and they should really understand what it is you do and what you're selling, because if you're posting good content, then that's what you're kind of displaying.
Amazing. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the decision to move to the business to the US, or open a presence in the US. What prompted that, and why did you settle on Palm Beach where you have?
Yeah, so the reason we entered the US is 4 years ago we did huge projects. They were kind of some of our biggest kind of value orders. One in the Hamptons, one in Brooklyn, one in Newport Beach. So two in New York, one in California. And yeah, those leads came from Pinterest, as I was saying. So it wasn't targeted ads in America. We weren't running any paid ads in America. Everything was in the UK, but they found us because we were good at posting on our personal brand and social media. So you're getting organic reach. So yeah, we completed those projects very successfully. And then obviously after speaking with the clients, they kind of told us, we really struggle to get nice doors, good doors, luxury doors in America. That's why we've come to you. So we spent about 6 months kind of researching the market, brought in a company to kind of help us kind of analyze the market. So we wanted to do it properly. We didn't want to just base it off that. We did really research the market to see if there was a gap. And yeah, we found that there was. And then initially, kind of the obvious place to launch is New York. So we looked at 200 Lexington, which is like Chelsea Harbour, but in New York. So it's the design
Yeah.
centre.
Yeah.
And
Can't have been cheap rent.
yeah, exactly. So we were kind of ready to kind of move, get one of the showrooms there. But obviously we wanted to check out kind of Florida as well. So Miami was an option. So we looked at Miami, and obviously Miami was a lot more affordable. So we just felt like, yeah, New York was very expensive, showrooms very expensive, employing people is very expensive, there's lots of red tape when you're doing construction. So yeah, that was kind of a really big risk because the investment would be very high. So then Miami made a lot of sense. That was always weirdly like my goal was to kind of open a business in Miami. You obviously hear about Miami a lot being from England, and it seems like a very luxury market, which it is. So we found a space there, and then kind of I feel like by fate, I was speaking to obviously doing business development in Miami while I was there, obviously meeting people while looking at showrooms, and she was like, yeah, you guys should, if while you're here in Miami, go check out Palm Beach, which is an hour away. So, because yeah, I'd never really heard of Palm Beach. It's not like an obvious travel destination for anyone in England.
Unless you're a golfer, right? There's a big golf scene over there.
It's big golfing in like Jupiter, which is half an hour away, and Palm Beach as well. So we drove to Palm Beach and obviously drove around the island, which is where all the kind of most expensive homes are. And then we just really felt like it was our market. It was basically like St. George's Hill, which is where we do a lot of projects in England, that kind of luxury community. And then, yeah, we just kind of found a showroom space in West Palm Beach. And yeah, it kind of felt right. The numbers kind of worked out. And then, yeah, we chose West Palm. And honestly, it was the best decision because, like, we weren't even aware, but obviously there's a lot going on with politics and everything, and a lot of people are moving to Florida from places like New York and California. I mean,
they got more favourable tax rates, yeah?
Yeah, taxes, and I mean, people are just starting to realise that, yeah, the weather's amazing there, the taxes are great. So we're really able to get the California and New York market by being in West Palm. And there's companies here like Related Group and Frisbee Group who are developing West Palm Beach to basically be like the new kind of financial district in America. So they're calling it like Wall Street South. So much new development, so many companies moving here, like AI companies and banks opening offices here. So it's a really, really strong.
Wow. Right place, right time.
Exactly, right place, right time. So, and we're able to kind of get projects in Miami as well, which we're doing, because it feels like people from Palm Beach wouldn't necessarily drive down to Miami to go see a showroom, but people from Miami would drive up to Palm Beach to see
They could make a weekend of it, right?
Yeah, kind of like that. So it's the perfect in between, because then further up north you've got like Jupiter, Wellington, and then like you obviously have Fort Lauderdale, Miami. So we're kind of like in the middle.
Perfect.
So yeah, that's kind of the reasoning why it was obviously kind of lower investment than New York. So I think it was the perfect place to kind of launch the business. And then obviously the plan is to obviously open more showrooms. So I guess maybe potentially the next one could be New York, or it could be Dallas. Who knows? But
you have to get ready for New York. I spoke to Robin, who runs Devol, and he was talking to me a couple of years ago about the investment in that their Manhattan showroom, and it was like eye-watering numbers to do anything like, pulling out a wall that should cost you 10 grand. You're talking 100 grand at least, because of all the permitting and the labour costs and all this stuff. He said it's absolutely astronomical. Okay, before we discuss plans for the future, you mentioned a story before about how building this personal brand has granted you access and maybe gotten you into rooms that you wouldn't have otherwise got into, that has eventually led to projects. Do you want to just give us a minute on that, and maybe the story of that podcast that you're on?
Yeah, I guess one story about the success that I've had with personal branding is one of the biggest deals we're doing here at the moment, which is like multiple six figures, came through me being invited onto a podcast, which was in person. So I was asked on that podcast because they've got a personal brand, right? They want someone with followers where they're going to get kind of awareness. So got invited to that, and then the person on the podcast before me was a GC and an owner's rep. So obviously, as I'm walking past him, I'm obviously meet him and exchange details, get his business card, follow up with him next week, and yeah, a month later they say they've got this project, they need kind of very custom doors, and yeah, that all started because of my personal brand. Essentially, it really does just open doors for you. Excuse the pun, but
no pun intended.
Yeah, but like it really does just open opportunities for you. It's something that you can't really, if you're running a business, something you can't afford not to be doing. So yeah, and I mean, there's
Amazing.
countless stories of that. So yeah, you're kind of linking personal brand, and then obviously you need that business development strategy
Mentality.
well. Like, yeah, it's all about taking advantage of these opportunities and kind of really
You've been hustling.
yes.
You've been hustling hard since you got there. I mean, I follow you, and every day on your stories, it's this networking event and that lunch and this opening, and this is, you are like properly putting yourself about.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's really just being everywhere you can be, because in this business you just never know where one networking event will lead you. You might meet that one person who connects you with that other person, or who gives you that project. And if you're not showing up in person and you're not showing up even online, yeah, like you got to do both. You got to show up online and you got to show up in person, and that's how you create opportunity, and then that opportunity leads to business, which is what.
How do you manage your time in terms of being let's call it the front man of the business, doing all of these events and catering to, meeting as many people as you can, having the time to invest in doing the personal brand stuff? How are you managing your day-to-day time to be able to do all of it?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's obviously we have a great team at SWD. My focus is business development, so I have an estimating team where I really have one person who I solely work with for, let's say, the US. So my job is to bring in the leads, and he's obviously doing the estimating. Like, if I was having to do all the business development and also be doing all the quotes, and all the social media, I would have no time. So I think it's really about kind of having a good structure within your business.
So that's interesting, because you're not doing drawings, right? You're not doing designs. You're taking the designs from the general contractor and being like, okay, this is what they want. And you give that to your estimator to work out what your pricing on that would be. Then you just go back to them with a proposal. And so effectively your role is getting us in front of as many people like that as you can, effectively.
Yeah. We do drawings as well, but typically it works as, they'll send us drawings and then we'll price. We also, we've built like a bespoke quotation system, so it's actually very quick for us to kind of build out these door scheduling quotes. So again, there's a technology aspect to kind of speed things up. It's not all done like manually on Excel, which maybe some businesses
a lot of businesses are, yeah.
Like that.
A lot of businesses.
Yeah, that's very time consuming. So, we've been using that for 5 to 10 years, like this quotation system. So, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
so,
I would say you just don't want to be that. You can't just be one person doing absolutely everything, because then, you're going to get burnt out and you're not going to be focusing on the thing that you're you're good at, really. So it's finding out what you're good at, focusing on that, and then getting other people to do the bits where you're not necessarily, I don't know, the best at doing.
Or want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So listen, plans for the future. You alluded to potentially a showroom in New York, maybe Dallas. Is that because there's a big tech community in Austin and a lot of money floating in there? Is that like your focus is now? You are driving the growth of the business in the US, and the UK is being handled by other family members, the rest of the team. But that's what you're working on, right? You're just building out the US footprint.
Yeah. So yeah, my focus is definitely majority on the US. That's kind of my task and my role is to kind of expand here. So yeah, the focus is obviously on the Florida market right now. It's only been maybe really 6 months since we opened, but we're on track to do 2 million by the end of the year, which is what our target was, which is
Amazing.
great. And yeah, obviously the way you scale this kind of business is by entering new markets, and that is obviously through showrooms. I mean, something I'm thinking about is, I think there's definitely an opportunity in like sharing showrooms. I don't think you necessarily have to go in and be like, this is our standalone showroom. I think a good way to kind of enter a market is to kind of find a group of companies and kind of split the costs, and you're also splitting kind of the marketing, and you're all bringing in leads. So
Complementary companies, you're saying?
Yeah, complementary, non-compete companies. I think it's a smart way to do it. So obviously I want to open up more showrooms. So say we're going to go to New York, I'd probably try find a few complementary companies, or maybe there's an existing showroom where we can just get a small space within
Like a concession, yeah.
Yeah, rather than investing hundreds and hundreds of thousands and spending 6 months building it. That's what I'm thinking is kind of the smartest, kind of most efficient and most cost-effective way to go.
I think that there's so much of the past where, especially the KBB industry in the UK, relied on, well, we just had a massive showroom on the high street and people just walked in. And obviously times have changed massively since then, with people driving traffic through social media and through paid ads and everything online, where you can sort of send traffic to an external location that doesn't even necessarily have to be high street, but as long as you have a presence, because ultimately in your situation specifically, you're out there doing the work, you're meeting people, you're setting meetings for people to come in and meet you, shake hands. Yeah, we've got a few doors on display. They don't need to see a whole, 3,000 square foot showroom. They just need to come in and see, a sample of what you do. The quality's great. Okay, give me a price and let's go from there.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm running ads in Florida, New York, California at the moment, because those are the three kind of markets, the strongest markets I feel. But when I'm speaking to these leads in New York and California, a large percentage of them are like, okay, so where can I see your doors? And I'm like, oh, sorry, we only have a showroom in Palm Beach currently. And they're like, okay, don't worry. So
yeah, of course, they want to see, if they're spending that much money, they want to see something.
Yeah, like showrooms are so important in this business. Like, no one's going to spend hundreds of thousands if they can't at least they have to touch and feel the product. And I think we have obviously done a lot of business without people seeing it. Like those first projects we did in the US, they didn't see or touch. So it is possible. And I think that's because we have a very good website and brand. So we're kind of in a position where we are able to do that. But there are some people who do require to touch and feel the quality. So having both, and yeah, kind of what I'm saying is I don't necessarily think the physical presence has to be hundreds of thousands of dollar investment. It can be kind of like a smart partnership between complementary companies.
Yeah, you can dip your toe in the water, and obviously if that market proves fruitful, then you can go all in. But you're right, you don't need to go.
I mean, we
you don't need to bet the farm.
yeah, we definitely took that risk and went all in on our first showroom, but luckily it's paid off. But yeah, also in terms of like opening here in the US, it was a really good decision because obviously it's very good to diversify, and diversifying in this market is by entering new markets. If you're just relying on one market like England and politics changes, the economy changes, that these macro kind of events can really affect your business. You can't do anything about it. So I think it is important to kind of diversify so you're not just reliant on one market, which is something that we're really kind of happy that we've done, because we're not at the kind of we're
at the whim of the UK.
there we go.
No, trust me, I know. All right, well, listen, thank you so much for your time, Alex. I really appreciate it. I can't imagine that any of the listeners of this podcast are going to rock up and spend a couple of $100,000 on some doors like your other podcast. So I apologize in advance, but we still appreciate your time. Thank you. Best of luck in the US, and hopefully catch up in a year or two when you've opened your second showroom.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks so much, Josh. Appreciate it.
All right, take care.